statements as personal challenges. Inability to de-escalate. The fight itself can become a source of passion and intensity, creating a dysfunctional cycle. The skills of apology, compromise, and gentle repair are often absent. Boundary testing, agreements and relationship rules are viewed as suggestions or challenges to her autonomy rather than frameworks for mutual security. What was once exciting strength becomes exhausting aggression. Respect erodes under a constant barrage of conflict, and love cannot grow in such inhospitable soil. The core question, is her strength rooted in emotional resilience and integrity, or is it a hair-trigger defensiveness that will turn our home into a battleground? Risk 6, the ideology of nonconformity, rebelling against the framework. The allure of the rebel, tattoo culture is inherently rooted in nonconformity and a rejection of traditional norms. This rebellious streak is often what makes a tattooed woman so compelling. She appears bold, fearless, and utterly authentic. The architecture of partnership is a conformity. A successful long-term partnership or marriage, however, is arguably the most conformist institution there is. It is built on a framework of mutual compromise, sacrifice, routine, and stability, the very structures that the rebellious spirit often defines itself against. Resistance to commitment, the idea of forever, can feel suffocating, like a loss of freedom and identity. Resistance to compromise, meeting in the middle, can be viewed as selling out or diluting one's authentic self. Resistance to routine, the healthy, predictable patterns that create security and trust crushing. This wiring is fundamentally at odds with the patient, often mundane work of building a life together. You may find yourself constantly trying to settle down with a partner whose core identity is constructed around resisting being settled. The synthesis, the perfect storm. These risks are not isolated, they are synergistic, creating a perfect psychological storm. Impulsivity leads to poor decisions. Unresolved trauma creates emotional chaos that impulsivity acts upon. Attention-seeking undermines trust and monogamy, providing outlets for impulsivity. Sensation-seeking sabotages the stability required to heal from trauma. Aggression destroys the safe space required for peaceful connection. Nonconformity rejects the relational frameworks that contain and manage all these traits. This interconnected cluster is why sociological data can point to lower relationship stability and higher divorce rates among heavily tattooed individuals. The ink is not the cause, it is a visible marker, a signal flag for a constellation of psychological traits that make the long-term, stable investment of a partnership profoundly challenging. Conclusion, the path of discernment, not prejudice. This analysis must end with a crucial disclaimer: correlation is not causation. There are countless exceptions. Deeply self-aware, emotionally intelligent, and stable women with tattoos. They get ink as pure art, as meaningful milestones, or simply as a personal preference without any of the underlying risks discussed. Psychology deals in patterns and probabilities, not certainties. The ultimate message is not to avoid tattooed women. It is to practice profound discernment. See the ink not as a simple decoration, but as one piece of a much larger psychological puzzle. It is a signal that warrants calm curiosity. Before diving into the whirlwind, use these questions as a guide. Is her spontaneity a charming occasional event, or is it a systemic lack of self-control that manifests with money, emotions, and loyalty? Is her intense passion true intimacy, or is it the volatility of unhealed trauma? Is she actively healing, or is she using her past to justify present chaos? Is her confidence authentic and internal, or is it a performance reliant on external validation? Does she seek your eyes, or the rooms? You meet a woman, she's attractive, is her adventurous spirit compatible with long-term monogamy, or is she wired to eventually chafe against the stability I crave? Is her strength a calm, resilient power, or an aggressive defensiveness that will turn partnership into a power struggle? Does her rebellious nature have a place in a structured partnership, or does she define herself in opposition to the very compromise and commitment a relationship requires? Men are often hurt not because women hide who they are, but because they ignore the evidence that is plainly written on the skin, demonstrated in behavior, and echoed in life patterns. Attraction is biological and often immediate. Compatibility, however, is psychological and revealed over time. Choose not just with your eyes, but with your discernment. The attraction to a heavily tattooed woman is often immediate and powerful. It's a visual narrative of boldness, artistry, and a life lived outside the lines. This analysis isn't about judging art or personal style, it's a forensic look at the potential psychological underpinnings of a permanent decision. What are the deeper patterns, correlations, and potential risks a man might be signing up for? The intersection of psychology, sociology, and clinical research points to a complex web of interconnected traits that extend far beyond the skin's surface. Risk 1, the neurology of impulsivity, when spontaneity becomes systemic. The allure, the initial research is compelling. There is a documented correlation between tattoo acquisition and higher scores on measures of impulsivity and sensation-seeking. In the romantic arena, this is frequently packaged as intoxicating spontaneity. She is the woman who impulsively books a weekend getaway, says yes to every adventure, and lives with a captivating intensity that makes the ordinary world feel dull in comparison. This energy is magnetic because it promises a life less ordinary, free from the shackles of overplanning and caution. The critical error is to believe this trait exists in a vacuum. Impulsivity is a neurocognitive pattern, a tendency to prioritize immediate reward over long-term consequence, driven by a stronger pull from the brain's amygdala, emotion, reaction, and a relatively weaker influence from the prefrontal cortex, planning, inhibition. The same neural circuitry that bypasses the "what will I think of this in 20 years" permanent tattoo is the same circuitry activates domains. Decision making. This can manifest as a disregard for shared financial goals, major purchases, consultation bridged for fleeting desires, and the safety net feels stifling. The partner, accountant, or the one who bears the emotional and financial burden of instability. Relationships with measured responses. An impulsive temperament struggles with this. Minor slight can trigger